Welcome or welcome back. I'm the Ink Archivist, here again for another Diamine Inkvent Calendar ink. This one is number 13, Upon a Star. This is a chameleon ink, which is like a lush royal blue with some very vibrant green shimmer in it. And I know this has been a little bit since our last video in this series, but I will finish it, I promise. Now, if you saw the Goulet unboxing of the Sailor Northern Lights blue pen, you already know that I put the Upon a Star ink in that pen. So I'm showing it briefly again here, but you can check out that video for more information about the pen and for a writing sample with these two together. And I still do really love the pairing. This is a great combination if you happen to have gotten this pen. For swabbing out these inks, I have my 4 swatch books here with Tomoe River paper, HP 32, Rhodia, and Apica. I do want to say real quick, I did have a question about where I got these from, and I do make them myself. So I always leave a link in the description to where I got the idea from, so credit goes to where it's due. But yes, I do make these myself. You can't purchase them. You can only get the colorverse ones. But as for this color, it is a deep, rich royal blue, and the glitter is a stunning, very vibrant green. It's a lovely combination, and it sheens like crazy, especially on the Tomoe River paper. When I bring it up, you can see it is like an oil slick on the page. It is very impressive. You can see there it's like rippling with sheen. So of course, inks with shimmer and sheen are often much harder to clean out than a normal pen, so you gotta kind of make it worth it, and I think this ink definitely does. So I'm a big fan of it. I'll definitely be getting a bottle of this since I do have the matching pen. So on the other papers, especially the 32 I'm showing, where it kind of flattens out the sheen and everything, you get that shimmer looking quite vibrantly as well. So it's kind of interesting to see how differently it looks across the papers. The Apica shows a little bit of the sheen and maintains that vibrant shimmer as well. Now I'll show you the notes that I took with this ink, and between the pen, which was a bit of a fire hose, and the good flow of this ink, I actually ran out of ink before I could finish a whole 2-page spread, so I had to refill my pen about halfway down the second page. So it's kind of a lot. It looks a little bit unwieldy, but this is a very readable ink, at least a 7, I would say. So here we go with the writing sample and comparison swabs. So we're starting with the title with a Hokuro 2.0 stub nib. And this ink does have a wonderful flow, and even though it has sheen and shimmer, which by all accounts should make it a very difficult ink, I didn't notice any feathering or spread, and I didn't see any bleed through, although there was some show through. So it seems like the big trade-off you'll have with this ink is that it won't be fun to clean out of your pens afterwards. Gotta say I'm surprised by the quantity of chameleon inks in this set, especially since it was a new property that, as far as I understand, was kind of unveiled with this. So I'm very excited to see if they bring it back for the next year's edition, and how many we'll see in there as well. For the comparisons, I'll start by laying down Upon a Star and writing with a Fonte and a Hokuro with a fine nib to give you a comparison of this ink in a broader and finer nib, which I'll be doing for the other two as well. And those will be Ferris Wheel Press's Edwards Gardens and the other Diamine Inkvent Chameleon ink that's kind of close to this, which is Solar Storm. So I think interesting to note with the Upon a Star is in the Fonte, which is much thinner than a zoom nib, and the Hokuro, which is thinner than that. This is still a exceptionally vibrant and readable blue ink. It's a very gorgeous shade. I think it kind of reminds me of Bay State Blue a little bit, so I think this will be a popular color. The second ink is Edwards Gardens, which is a beautiful teal blue color that has gold shimmer in it and a lot of sheen as well. So this leans a lot more teal than Upon a Star, which doesn't have any green in the actual base color. But besides that, they resemble each other very strongly. I would say that if you like Upon a Star but want something that has a little bit more teal to it, then Edwards Gardens is definitely a pick for you. And I would say these three are very similar in terms of their properties, so I wouldn't worry about that when deciding which one of these, if any, that you would like, because I think they'll all do you well in that regard. It's just more about like a preference of color and shimmer. So again, that last ink is Diamine Solar Storm, which is purple and not really all that blue. But I was very curious to see how the Green Chameleon shimmer of this ink would compare to Upon a Stars, and they really don't. Solar Storms is kind of yellow, and Upon a Stars shifts from green to red, whereas Solar Storms shifts from yellow to, I think, a purple. I'm really impressed by how much effort Diamine puts into making all of these Inkvent colors. There are definitely a few like Bliss that seem like kind of permutations of things that are already in the line, but it does seem like they put a lot into making all those chameleon sparkles different from one another and creating independent inks that don't overlap with things in their current line. So there are those three inks. I think having them all next to each other, Edward's Gardens and Upon a Star look very similar, but Solar Storm seems very purple. Now I have the finalized swabs for you, and just some final thoughts, which I've kind of already given throughout this video, which is that I really like this ink. I'm going to be getting a bottle of it to match the pen that I got, so that's about it for me. So now it's your turn if you would like. I would love to hear what you think about this ink, if it's a yes, if it's a no, and why. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this is helpful for you, and have a good one. Bye!